Welcome to another episode of the Eavesdrop podcast. This week's sponsor is Hecz, and they're coming back for like the fifth week in a row, so certainly appreciate their support. We have a very, very good podcast ahead, and we certainly appreciate the support. Obviously, with the amount of things that are happening in this world, a lot of inconsistencies are going to happen in the weeks as the upload schedule, varies. But today, we have a very, very special guest. I'm super psyched about it, so let's get to it. Welcome to episode number 57, the COVID-19 episode.
Jesus.
I don't want to call it that. It's bad. It's bad for business. It's bad for the economy. It's bad for health. It's one of those things that came out of nowhere. But did you see that a psychic in 2008 predicted this?
Really?
A pneumonia-like symptom that was going to be at the beginning of 2020, which will disappear and not come back for 10 years.
Was it on The Simpsons?
No.
The
Well,
Simpsons,
if it's not on The Simpsons,
yeah,
it's not a real thing.
That's what I'm saying, because The Simpsons predicted everything that happened in the world for like the last 20 years.
Yeah, was the Kobe Bryant one true or no?
I don't remember seeing that.
Because I saw it. Was it true? Did you see it? I haven't seen it. I've seen, and I hate clickbaiters for this, but I've seen that on YouTube thumbnail. Anyway, let's move on. Rambo, thank you for stopping by today. We have a very, very special guest called Raymond Rambo Luzier, Luzier, a French-Canadian legendary Call of Duty, once considered to be the smartest man in Call of Duty. Losing is learning, winning is teaching.
Yeah.
Wasn't that your saying?
Yeah, winning is teaching, losing.
Winning is teaching, losing is learning.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Still the same. Doesn't change anything.
OpTic Rambo, back from the grave. So you disappeared a little bit.
Let's call it the shadows.
The shadows. You went to
It
the
wasn't
shadows.
grave,
You were
it
in the
was
gulag for
gulag.
a long time, and it's crazy. Anyway, so Rambo was the captain of the. Were you the captain?
Technically, I guess.
Yeah, right. Back in the day, you were the one that just made everything, made all the play calls. Seth attributes a lot of his success to being taught by the guy that called him SETI. And that's
SETI, yeah.
Yeah, SETI.
My TH still haven't gotten better, so yeah.
No,
SETI.
you said earlier in the elevator, I'm like, how did you drive? And you're like, no, my wife or my fiance drove here with her brother. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, that's Rambo. That's the man. So Rambo, he goes way back. You played professionally since when? Modern Warfare,
Yeah,
or
COD
3?
4.
COD 4 is when you started?
Yeah.
And then you just made it all the way through. What was the last game that you played professionally?
Ghost.
Call of Duty
halfway
Ghost.
into Ghost, like right after Champs, like 2 weeks after Champs was my
Which
last,
for those of you who have forgotten,
That's like-
Champs used to be in the middle of the season.
Yeah, like end of March, early April.
Yeah, which was an advertising ploy for Activision to sell whatever skin pack or whatever.
It was like a segue for the next game. It was like
It wasn't though.
but it was like their last end of season for marketing for the game they were playing, and then it was segue into like after that they were all talking about the next game.
So
So it was like a month after was like they start.
I
progression
forgot that you had a stint in which you worked for Sledgehammer / Activision. We'll get to
I
that.
didn't know that there. I didn't learn that. That's not a trick that I learned from there.
Yeah.
just as everyone.
PR. No. It's crazy. Anyway, I'm super glad that you're here. You're obviously living now in Texas because you're now the coach of the Dallas Empire,
Yes,
which
sir.
to me is super, super dope. If truth be told, I was thinking of reaching out to you to be our coach too, but by then it was way too late.
Right.
One, because it's such a cool move to have this sort of reunion. You know what I'm saying of what we did. But I'm glad that you ended up on a good team and with good people, with Hastro, my boy, and
sure.
obviously Crim6 and Clay are like, you competed against both of them.
I played one of them.
You played
One event with Clay.
You played one event with Clay,
Clay.
and then what happened?
And then I joined Envy.
And then you joined
after.
All right, let's start from the beginning, man. Who are you today?
I am the coach. Well, like we talked about, I'm the head coach of the Dallas Empire. I try to be as much as I can content wise. I'm gonna try to be future wise. I'm about to be a husband pretty soon to my fiance.
Mhm.
Hopefully, we can get married within the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows now with all the crap going on in the world? What
Yeah,
that's gonna look
a lot of weddings have been postponed.
Yeah,
I learned that you don't say canceled from Jude,
right.
because I'm like, yo, this wedding got canceled.
Yeah,
She's
then
like,
it's
wait, did it get canceled or
Yeah.
postponed? I'm like, oh, postponed. She's like, well, make sure that you clear it up. And I was
Cancel
like,
sounds like they're just not getting married anymore,
yeah,
right?
it's like canceled.
But yeah, no, it's been nice to kind of come back. We can talk about a little bit how it kind of happened if you want. Like,
no.
no?
Let's talk about who you are today. Like, you just moved from where were you?
We were in the Bay Area, so like San Francisco area,
San
just
Francisco
south of San
area.
Francisco.
Fuck, expensive there.
Lived in San Jose for 2 years. Yeah, it's actually like the most expensive housing in the world.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, in America, not in the world.
Yeah, and you lived in a townhouse or apartment there?
We apartment. I
apartment?
live so in San Jose. I live in my fiance's parents' house.
Mhm.
They had like an extra room that
Yeah.
I just rented for super cheap.
Yeah.
My commute to work was like an hour and 10 minutes, so didn't really do that for that long.
Yeah, right.
And then renting an apartment, for example, I was paying $2,000 a month for a studio,
Yeah.
and that was 15 minutes away from where I worked.
For $2,000 here in Texas, you can get like
Oh.
4 bedrooms,
No,
3 bathrooms.
I mean, yeah, it depends where you get it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm paying more or less for double the size in downtown Dallas.
Yeah.
Like you tell me I'm paying downtown San Francisco, like I'm paying like $5,000 for
Yeah.
like a 1 bedroom. if
For a
that.
1 bedroom, yeah, no, it's
So
expensive.
It's ridiculous.
Silicon Valley.
Yeah, no, it's
Pe-
nuts.
The only people that live there are those who can afford it.
It's the weather tax. Like that's the only thing that I found.
But San Francisco's not that great though.
Well, not the city, but like everywhere else in the Bay Area is like
Yeah.
pretty ridiculously nice. Like I'm playing golf in December and it's like 65 degrees outside. Like
Yeah.
you don't really get that anywhere else, at least from my understanding.
Yeah. So you do a lot. Aside from Call of Duty, you bowled, you golfed. Were you a chess player too?
I mean, I play chess on the side, but yeah, bowling's kind of like my main side thing. I
Yeah.
bowled growing up, and like I stopped bowling because I got sick, and that's kind of when I got to video games, like
Mhm.
in the early stages of my life.
Well,
Um,
let's say in the early stages of your life, who were you then? Who were you when you discovered gaming?
I was a competitive bowler aspiring to be professional.
How old?
I was so right before I started doing video games. I mean, I played video games since I was very young, but like from a competitive standpoint, I'd say like from 16 to 20, I was like seriously contemplating doing like bowling for a living.
Yeah.
I didn't really enjoy school that much. I was decent at some classes like math and but languages I was terrible at. French is my first language, and I failed French twice in high school because I just didn't like it. And then
Yeah.
this is the same teacher twice, so maybe there's a little hate thing
Yeah.
going on. But I was always good at English because my parents, my dad grew up in Brooklyn, so I got the English side of him. So I was
Yeah.
bilingual from a very young age.
Yeah. Does your dad speak French too?
Yeah, they're bilingual,
Okay.
but they were more like my dad's family was more English and my mom's family was more French.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like I would speak both very fluently because of that. Granted, the THs, we'll
Yeah.
never forget about that.
Yeah. You were good at math.
Yeah, math, yeah. But yeah, no, I was bowling a lot. Golf wasn't a thing. Like it was really just bowling and kind of video games on my free time and more friend time. Then I got pretty sick. I was 19. I had like a digestive issue that kind of put me off my feet for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And all I really did to kind of take that aside was play video games. That was my way out, right? Like is my way to cope with my pain and whatnot. And then that's when kind of the whole scene or the online tournaments came along for like COD 4
Yeah.
and 2009 national championship. And then we started playing for a living almost at that point.
So tell me about that. The early stages of Call of Duty. Obviously, we met in person December of 2010.
Yeah.
That's when OpTic sort of stepped into that realm. But up until then, you guys had already been competing. You guys had already been like national champions. Had that happened by then?
Yeah.
Like,
So there was a 2008 national championship that I think Team Fear won,
Mhm.
and then 2009 has been me and Big Timer. A lot of people know Big Timer, obviously.
Yeah.
The homie. But we actually watched that event, that 2008 national championship online. We were already playing like game battle stuff at the time.
Yeah.
But we didn't know there was like money to be made or serious, like a very serious kind of aspect where you go to events like the Halo Kids, because the Halo Kids were like the gods back then.
Yeah.
Right? We watched those guys
Pampered.
we watched those guys play on USA TV and we're like, oh, that's sick.
Yeah.
They have a big stage and everything. That was kind of like the dream, right? At that
Yeah.
point, it was like we want to compete on the main stage at an MLG event. And then we heard about what was being done with COD 4 and how that happened already. We're like, oh, is this gonna happen next year? And they announced that. We're like, oh, me and Big T were like, we got to do this. Like, so we started playing online ladders at the time because that's all there was to play for.
Yeah.
And all those were kind of led into a qualifier for the national championship. So the top 8 teams
Yeah.
from the 7 months of competing online led into this tournament where you show up and you play for $8,000 first place.
Yeah.
That's changed a little bit.
Yeah.
since
That's
then.
to a person, right? Because who was the rest of your teammates?
It was me, Big Timer, Sharp, and Dodgers. Dodgers
yeah.
was 13 years old. Sharp was 15. Big T, I think, was a year younger than me, so like 17 or 18. And I was 18 or 19 at the time. So yeah, it was crazy. Like funny story though. Like they told us about the event like 3 weeks before it happened. So we know we qualified.
Yeah.
But we didn't know when it was happening.
Yeah.
So I live in Montreal at the time, right? So my flight to LA is not cheap.
No.
Like flying across the border.
Yeah.
I had to pay $900 for a flight to get to LA.
Yeah.
And
it's not even first class.
And no, it's just standard flight.
Yeah.
Just regular bullcrap flight
Yeah,
in
yeah.
economy. We fly in. I got to pay for my taxis. Granted, we had Ego. Obviously, 360
Yeah,
icon
yeah,
Ego.
360 icons Ego.
Paul Magna. Shout out. But yeah, he covered a hotel. He was like good, like nice enough. We got sponsored for a hotel, which was great. So that was one less expense.
Yeah.
But we won the tournament, so we made $2,000 each, which was great, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I get back home, I learned there's a 30% tax for the border, and then there's a 9% state tax. So I come home with a $1,230 check.
Yeah.
After my personal expenses, my flight, I basically broke even for winning my first ever tournament.
Yeah. Was it worth it?
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Well, just the fact that like I came home, like they mailed us a check that said MLG on it, and I showed that to my dad. My dad was like, this is legit.
Yeah.
Like that opened up like the avenue
The rest
like,
of your career.
100%. Like that didn't happen. Who knows? Like maybe it's like he treats it differently. He sees like he's always been supportive, but like to a certain extent, he's not gonna let me like self implode on something that doesn't has nowhere to go.
Yeah, it's like protecting you from yourself.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's super cool. And your dad is super cool.
Awesome.
Have met your dad a bunch of times. I've met your mom once, I think, and I'm glad that for the most part, the majority of the people that I have been in the space that are parents like have always been supportive for it. And I don't know if it's a generational thing or what, but now it's gonna be a standard. Right now it's gonna be like, oh yeah, my kid does YouTube videos and that's how he makes money. He doesn't need a summer job. Yeah, he's making more money than me as a YouTuber. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But back in the day, it wasn't, right? This is something that was being built from the ground up. Yeah. As you were doing this, I was doing YouTube stuff, and we sort of intersected at a time where I could offer more, right? From an exposure standpoint, from everything that sort of led to that place. I remember we had a suite at we didn't stay at the Hilton Anaheim, Anatol.
Anatol, yeah. I drove by that coming by and totally flashback.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Oh man.
Right. That's why I tell people like that's where the Green Wall was born, right? Yeah. That's where the Green Wall became it. So for we stayed at a hotel like over the train tracks, and I remember that I had a flashed copy of Black Ops 1. Do you remember that? Oh wait, what came after that? Was it Black Ops 1?
Yeah, it was.
It was Black Ops 1, right?
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1. Yeah, so
100%.
yeah, so you guys, everybody came over to my spot, and everybody was just fucking playing this thing, and I'm like, oh shit. And at the time it was Diesel and Nerve. You remember Nerve?
Yeah.
All right, and then Nerve's like, yo, we should pick these guys up. We got to drop Nadeshot, and we got to drop fucking Vengeance, and then we got to pick up Rambo, Big T, and
JCap probably.
And JCap.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, whoa, you think we could get them? He's like, hell yeah, man, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, cool. Let's sort of make that thing happen. So that's how our story began. Right?
Yeah, we actually didn't drop Nadeshot. It was me and Big T that joined the team at first with Merc and Nade.
Yeah.
And then we played for a few months with Nade, but Nade was like busy working and rarely had time to practice. And we're like, we're gamers at that point, right? Like this is
like, because he was working at McDonald's.
Right, yeah. I mean, our passion is really just to compete, right? So like we couldn't,
so
he wasn't able to offer that.
So you dropped it.
So we actually dropped Nadeshot, which flip-flop a little later in the time, but we can talk about it a little later.
Yeah, so how, obviously like everything has changed, and you've seen it firsthand, like the evolution of Call of Duty, right? Because we never had true support from the leagues ever, right? It didn't happen until Vonderhaar and Black Ops 1,
Black
maybe?
Ops 1 was the first year we had LAN, like actual LAN support.
Actual LAN support and a developer that took the time to come out and see it and check it out and look at it. But in those early building years, there was a lot of stuff that sort of we had to make happen on our own, right? Like I remember having everybody pay. So everybody that uploaded YouTube videos to the channel sort of forfeited a 10% on their payout because we would use that to fund the travel for all the pro players, right? And everybody was about it. Everybody was like, hell yeah, we're competitive. Blah, blah, blah. So I remember like having that cost, and then on top of that we had the cost of having to fly you, or what was it, what did we pay for back then? Just hotel?
Yeah, it was hotel and flights.
Yeah. And it was like a difficult time because nobody knew I didn't know what the fuck was happening. I was a content creator. I didn't know that I was going to become a business guy, right? I didn't know that I was going to be responsible for like all these kids and all this. I just loved Call of Duty and wanted to see it played at the highest, level, and I wanted to create content around it. But it was one of those early moments where you sort of saw the opportunity, because you saw how many fans were there for StarCraft. You saw how many fans were there for Halo. And I remember the same thing, watching them on USA Today. I get flashbacks every single time of me sitting at my dining room table, looking at Olivia on her stroller, like running around, and then on the flat screen on top of the fucking fireplace, you know what I'm saying, pimping. I saw USA Today. I'm like, oh my god, video games are on TV. I'm like, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is a thing. This is a thing.
That's
so
really
like
cool.
that just invigorated my want to become somebody or something, or be a part of it, at least at the very minimum, be a part of this like emerging scene that nobody, for what it's worth, nobody knew about it, right? Nobody, like, the only people that knew about it were the people that played that specific game. And even then, to this day, I've only played 4 games. You played a variety of games.
I played every game. Every competitive game that's out there, I get interested in. And like just kind of to segue what you're talking about, like wall sheets, the wall sheet of T-squares, like the whole Halo scene is what kind of, I can guarantee you that like 90% of the COD pros that play when I play, that still play today, kind of got from that environment, that
we
space.
all did, yeah.
Because there's just like that's the kind of the stage that there was at the time, right? Like that was it. Like, this is what I want to do. I want that. And when you find out there's something like that for your game, that's when everyone gained interest, and that's kind of how Call of Duty kind of bounced off.
And we sort of had to make it happen, right?
Yeah.
It didn't happen for us until we made it happen, right? We made sure that what we saw other people doing, like the inspiration that we got from there, we couldn't wait around for MLG to make those moves. We couldn't wait around for certain people to do that. So through certain moves and whatever happened, like, we were finally able to get the support from Sonny and Sepso, where they're like, all right, let's put up a LAN for Call of Duty.
Right.
And sure enough, it sort of little by little started becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. Once we came in as OpTic, and once we brought that audience that we had garnered on YouTube, everything changed, right? They've never seen 10,000 views on a live stream, right? And I remember clearly, like, I saw Fwiz and Hastro streaming it, and I interrupt, because they were like on the sidelines. I interrupt them like, "Yo, this is live, right?" And I don't know, and, like, you can find it, but Fwiz is like, "Yeah, man." And since I'm on the phone and recording, he knows I'm a YouTuber. He like snaps and he's like, "Yeah, man, it's blah, blah, live it, blah blah." I uploaded from my phone to OpTic Nation. And then, boom, the viewership just skyrocketed.
That's
At
awesome.
that point, they're like, what just happened?
Right.
What happened right there? What was it? And then from there, the relationship with us and MLG sort of happened. And we started to sort of build upon that one little instance that happened where they saw a spike in viewership just from an upload of a video. And they said, okay, there's an audience there. We just got to know how to get there. And where was it the whole time? It was hiding on YouTube in plain sight.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's how COD's been big on YouTube for ages, right? Like, like back in the days we started, especially your content creating days, was just like immense. Like, that's sniping videos, like just to snipe the OpTic snipers and all that kind of stuff.
Top 5 kill cams, like everything.
Oh yeah.
And the beauty, which ended up becoming our strength in having a cyclical game, as Call of Duty is, where every single year we have a new one. That became our strength, because every single year there was a refreshment in what sort of content you could create. So whatever juice we had squeezed out of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, we were able to sort of restart with a brand new game. And everything, all the content that we created for Modern Warfare, the Nate spots and this, that, and the other, we were able to then bring over to World at War, and then, Modern Warfare 2, and so on and so forth. The rest is history. But now I sort of feel like we're in a situation where is it better to have Counter-Strike still massive, right? It's still the same game, still the same map, just reinvented plays, same plays, different approach. Like, everything is changed, and people question it as far as like, well, how many times can you see the same game being played differently? And I'm like, basketball's been around forever, and there's always been 2 hoops and a 3-point line and a free throw line, and nothing has changed. That map has never changed. And every single day, there's a different game with a different outcome, different plays, different movements. Right. It's the human brain, right? I don't know where I was going with that thought, but I think it sort of became our strength. Anyway, you guys left OpTic to go to Apex.
This is the Modern Warfare 3, yeah.
Modern Warfare 3. There was zero support from neither Activision nor Call of Duty nor PlayStation and MLG. There was no tournaments, and I don't know what it was.
So, I mean, there was 2 devs at the time, right? It was Treyarch and Infinity Ward. And Infinity Ward didn't really see, I don't know, eye to eye or what was worth, or it didn't seem like it was worth their time to kind of support these things that we needed to. I mean, at the base it was land play, right?
Yeah.
Treyarch gave us land play on Black Ops 1. We didn't have it on Modern Warfare 3. Treyarch gave us land play on Black Ops 2. We had it on Ghost, but we didn't have broadcasting mode. That was a feature on Black Ops 2.
Right.
Granted, it could have been lack of communication between the studios. It could have been priorities. Like, obviously, all these studios are trying to make games that sell every year, and trying to make new content and fresh features that get people to play the games, right? That's kind of what they do. So esports has always been kind of a small party community for ages.
Yeah.
Granted, it's growing, and it seems like all these other games out there are kind of the push for what it is. Like, the audience they're trying to reach out is more so than just their casual audience now. It's kind of the grander scheme, right?
Yeah.
Because the grander scheme, like the content creators and whatnot, and the players have a big reach to kind of push content, and then that kind of tumbles into more sales and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then the in-game content sales. But yeah, we didn't have anything. So we came to you. I remember the conversation like it was yesterday. We came as a group. We're like, hey, like the only tournaments we can compete at this year are going to be in Europe. And at the time, it just didn't make sense. Like, feasible wise, it wasn't for you guys in the organization. It just didn't make sense. So like, we're like, okay, well, it's nothing against you. We just want to be able to play. So whoever's going to be able to provide us with that is who we're going to go with.
Yeah.
So as we kind of discussed that with you guys, we put ourselves open, and then Apex came along and was like, hey, we'll give you guys full travels and we'll pay you salary. And we're like, oh, salary, what is this? Granted, we never got any of that.
Yeah.
But obviously that's the early stages of the
They
contract world.
I remember. All right. So tell me how that. What did it feel like for you guys? Because obviously you guys are North American kids. It's you, Scumpy, who at the time was 17, 16?
16, I think. Yeah, 17 was Black Ops 2. So yeah,
you,
16.
Scumpy,
Big T and Merc. Merc was, I think, a year older than Scump or two.
Yeah.
And Big T was basically my
But you
age.
guys are North American kids, have never traveled outside of the United States.
I have.
Well,
I did for bowling, so I competed in bowling tournaments before that outside the States. So
okay, so you had, but nobody else.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And you guys, was this where the plane had a lot of turbulence and you were holding on to Seth's hand?
Yeah, it might have been one actually. Yeah, I've never been good with flying. I still am not, even though I've flown a million times in my life. But yeah it's.
You still get nervous?
It's not nervous. It's just like I have really bad motion sickness.
Yeah.
And when the plane kind of starts landing and wobbles and then goes up and down, dude. Like my heart just drops. Like my whole body goes into shutdown.
Seth always tells the story. He's like, Seti, hold my hand.
No, but it wasn't for holding his hand. It was because I felt like I had no pulse, and it was just it was a weird situation.
Okay,
it
so
looked
the
a lot
plot
worse.
thickens.
Yeah, it looked a lot worse than the camera than it was. But it was like
so you guys get there. Obviously, the Europeans have never seen you guys, but has heard about you guys coming. You guys are winning everything over here. But then here you guys are in Europe, and you're walking through was it EGL?
It was EGL 5. We played EGL 5, 7, and 8, I think. And then the first two were in Blackpool, and the last was in Manchester.
Yeah. And
funny story going to Europe is, and the correlation to the European kids, they've never, I think they came to compete. I'm pretty sure a few of their teams came to Black Ops 1 events, but not many. And then when we went out there, like we were kind of like the thing, right?
Yeah.
So like OpTic at the time, Apex in this case, was the team to beat, and they didn't see it that way. Like, especially the Tommies, like I had a terrible relationship with Tommy before.
Yeah.
And we kind of fixed it in multi 30 years. But when we competed, we absolutely hated our guts. Like, I did not like him or who he stand for, anything he was.
Yeah, why?
He was just always talking smack. He was always talking smack, never backing it up.
Yeah.
And I had no issues with people talking smack, like the Mad Cats and all those guys. Like, and just, they were throwing fingers around in an event. Like, it was not under control, but yeah, we came out there and they're totally expecting to be on our level, even better than us.
Yeah. And
we're like, okay, well, like we know how good we are and how we can stand. So we show up to the first event. We lost one map.
Yeah.
The entire event.
Yeah.
Only one team took a map. It was Prophecy, and it was like a stalemate, like a really kind of not cheesy, but like close game that just didn't go in our favor. But yeah, we came out and destroyed them, and it was just like, and it was special. Like we came from like a production like MLG where everything. Not necessarily like the best ran like it is today, but still from a standpoint, like they try to help the schedule as much as they could. Yeah. And it was in Europe, it was a 2-day event. So we would fly in Friday or Thursday night because it was a red-eye flight. Yeah. We get in Friday, trying to adjust to the time zone. And then Saturday, Sunday are the tournaments. And there's the first event, EGL 5, I think has like, I'm pretty sure I had like 127 teams.
Jesus.
Which was massive at the time.
Massive.
Like they've never had events that big.
Yeah.
So
what did it feel like walking through there and people just staring at you guys, knowing that you guys
were awesome. It was dope.
Could you feel the stares?
We had a target on our back like super hard, and I liked it. I like that kind of like sure, if you're looking at me, I did something right. Like you're looking at me like you got something against me. I don't even know you.
Yeah. Were they like oh shit?
No. Everyone's respectful from our physical space. I'd say language.
No, I'm saying that they were telling their boys up playing these.
I mean, it's fun. We had like, because back in the day there was like one stage and it was not a big screen. It was a relatively okay screen, and the community was like more so than today was super driven around the game, right? Like I'd say like the passion of the general player community that show up to events was very much there for that. Like it wasn't like hanging buddy. Like you had your friends and whatnot, but you were very much watching what's going on. Like you were interested about a tournament from start to finish, regardless if you win or lose. So like, for example, when it came like kind of skipping ahead to the finals, like the stage of like people were standing in the back watching. Yeah. And it was like basically everyone who played was there watching the finals. And this is like 2 a.m. on a Sunday night. Yeah. And we were flying back at like 7 a.m. the next day.
Yeah. So you guys didn't even go to sleep.
But yeah, we played like Saturday morning. I think at 8 a.m. was our first match. We didn't play till like 8 p.m. that same night. And there's a bunch of content on YouTube that's like we're playing Micro Machines. I don't know if you had a racing car game or whatever. Yeah. And we're just playing because it was like they had a historical kind of games section. And we were just hanging around, just making videos, playing just other games because we had nothing else to do. There's no practice stations.
No, of course not.
Like you show up to your match and you set up quickly so you can shoot around for like 2 minutes and then you start your match. So yeah, it was so different back then. But I personally liked it better back then because again, like the passion and what it was. Yeah. Like you showed up and you're there for the game. You're there for like competing and that's it. Not for going out drinking. Not for money, not for parties. Dude, it was like straight up like I love doing this and I'm doing this because I like doing it. Yeah. And I'd say there's still like some element of that, but it's definitely changed over the years now.
Yeah. I think there's going to be a period in time in esports where it becomes about the money, becomes about the fame, and then it comes back to its roots. You know, the same way that basketball is, right? Like everybody that starts out as a professional athlete, they do it because they love the game and they love playing it so much that they become so good at it that they are able to sort of join the league and make money and be famed. But the second that you are famous, the second that you are rich, like none of that shit's gonna matter when you're on the court, and then you're back to it. You're back to the competitive nature. You're back to wanting to win at all costs. And some, like me, just wants to win, but not just that. Wants to see other people lose. You know what I mean? It's not. You know, that's a competitive nature in someone.
You're a hater, is what you're saying.
I'm a hater. Nah, man. It's just the way I am. And when you're sort of thrown into these situations where you have to sort of represent for your country at this point, right? Because you're no longer. How many American teams went over there?
We were the only one actually.
Right,
at the time.
So it becomes something a little bit more, right? You're more of a like 3 Americans, 1 Canadian, so it becomes a little bit more like America is better than Europe, and no, Europe is better than that. At the time, those like the French teams were good too, right?
Yeah,
like
there's a lot of like variety, especially in the European scene. From like Gotaga was the French player, the French monster they call him. I love that guy. He's good.
Yeah, I like him too.
But he was fun. It was fun competing against him, and it's like he would get irritated by other people saying, nah, he's the French monster because I'm French Canadian.
Yeah.
So it was like, then I could see like how it bothered. Like you could tell like just from a crap talking standpoint that a lot of these guys were more irritated than we were by just the shit talk.
Did you ever talk shit to him in French?
Nah, not really. I actually went to a French LAN in Black Ops 2. One of the teams had a kind of a team change mix and they were left with open spot. And I was really good friends with their manager. Neo, and then he actually was like, hey, look, because I think I was just joining Envy at the time, but like, can you come play this event for us? I'll fly you out, I'll pay for everything, blah, blah. So I'm like, oh, chance to go to Paris for free and go compete? Fuck it, let's do it. Yeah. And it was like super small local land. Like this space was like just this big, and but it was super passion. And I went there and we won the event. And I just remember like there's videos online of us like when we played that team that had the team change, like I've never heard shit talking like that. Like it was just straight disrespect nonstop. After every map, the team would get up and yell at the other team across the stage. Yeah. It was madness, and it got so much to where I got involved with it because I felt I was even after the match, I got up and I like give the little croc shot across the stage. I was like, just take it. Like it was like, what's going on? I was like after I'm like realized like, oh crap, like but it's just a moment.
Like,
it was like, so much fire going on.
They infected your being,
bro. It was I'm always been kind of humble. I'd say in that sense. Like I don't mind. I mean, I'll talk trash on stage, but like after a game, I'll be like, okay, it's like good game. Like we won great. We lost great. Good job.
Good sportsmanship.
But no, that was like I lost all full composure as far as like emotion, and it just blew
Did you guys
up.
win?
Yeah, we won. Yeah, we won that match. We won the event after that.
Okay.
And again, another of those like finishing at like 3 a.m. in the morning, and then we went. Oh god, we slept at a motel that night, and it was. I've never been to France before that. And some of their motels are like pretty like low end, and there's no host. It's like you know when you order something from like
A machine?
a machine is like literally you press buttons, you pay with a credit card in a machine, and it gives you a code to open a door.
Oh.
And it was like, dude, it was like a box, and there's like 2 beds like that. What do you call those?
Bunk beds.
Bunk beds. And there's a sink in the corner. There's no restroom in the room.
No
and
toilet.
Then there's a communal restroom in the hallway with communal showers.
No.
And then that's it. Like, and the bed had 1 pillow with like a crappy bed and crappy pillow legs. Oh,
Jeez.
Absolutely the worst night. I was sick and tired. It was terrible.
I wouldn't have done it.
No, I mean we didn't have I didn't have a choice at the time, right? But it was special. It was just a different experience.
Well, at least you went through it and came out alive on the other side.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't do it, man.
But I mean, it was different back then, right? Like we didn't like. I
mean,
even from an event standpoint, and even we know like going to Europe and the hotels in like England, and whatnot. Like it's all like you in America and their bedrooms have like queen size beds or double beds and everything's kind of nice. It's like a living space. But in Europe they treat it differently, right? Like space matters to them, and then the hotels and how the standard is out there is very different. It's always single beds and small TVs and all that. Like we go as Americans or people in North America, we go out there, we're like, what is this? But I'm sure when they come here, it's like, oh, now we know the American.
Yeah, it's like, oh, no wonder I'm a fucking king out here, which is crazy. So you guys go over there, compete for Apex. Apex wins. Obviously, you guys end up winning. And then you guys left Apex because you guys came back, right? Because I was able to secure some cash from one of our sponsors. It doesn't matter. But I do remember following up the following year, us going back together to Europe. Actually, let me give a quick shout out to the sponsors really quickly, and then I'll tell you the story, all right? This week's sponsor is Hecz. Hecz has been a very proud sponsor of the Eavesdrop podcast, and we have been a very, very proud recipients of such sponsorship. So we certainly appreciate their continued support. I use them for their skincare, solutions, because being a 40-year-old man, I have to make sure that I act before it becomes a problem. But today we're not talking about that. Today we are talking about something that I don't have any personal experience with, fortunately, but it is a common issue amongst men, right, that they face, but they don't want to talk about it, right? If you think long and hard about what this could be, it's none other than erectile dysfunction. Okay, 40% of men by the age of 40 struggle from not being able to get and maintain an erection. Why do you guys turn to weird solutions, right? If you're one of these people, why do you do that? Or why don't you do something at all about it, right? Why don't you go and turn to medicine and science? Expensive pills, injections where you don't want to be injected. Why deal with all of that when you can check out Hecz and you can discover a tiny pill worthy of a big celebration? 4hims.com, a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, sexual wellness for men. Right? So if you're feeling like you're going bald or you don't want to go bald, if you go there, you'll be able to get shampoos and treatments for your hair that will, sort of preemptively strike a problem that may or may not happen. Because by the time that you start noticing, it might be too late. Not guaranteed that it's too late, but it might be a little bit too late, right? So stop worrying about multiple in-office doctor visits, no painful injections like other treatments. It's so easy. Right? If approved by the doctor, the products are shipped directly to your door. Being your best means performing your best. It's erectile without a dysfunction. This is going to be the hardest year of your life, they say. Right? So try Hecz today by starting out with a free online visit. Go to hims.com/eavesdrop5. That's FORHIMS.com/eavesdrop5, EAVESDROP5, for hims.com/eavesdrop. You get prescription products that are subject to doctor approval and require online consultation with a physician who will determine if a prescription is appropriate for you. You have to see the website for the full details and safety information. Make sure that you read that, because this could cost hundreds if you went to an in-person doctor visit. Here, we save you money. Remember, that's forhims.com/eavesdrop. Start out your free online visit today by going to http://forhims.com/eavesdrop5. Let's get back to the show. So back to the story, Rambo. Thank you for waiting. And thank you for the sponsors. Now, we go back a year later to another EGL, and I remember like you guys telling me that Apex never paid you guys or whatever. And I remember seeing the dude, the owner of Apex, and I'm like, yo, you didn't play my players, you owe them money. And I didn't make didn't cause a scene, but I was like, not in his face, but I was like telling him, I'm like, yo, you need to pay these boys up and blah blah blah. He's like, no, I did pay him, blah, because he had a translator, right? Because he was where's he from? German?
I think they were German people. Yeah.
Anyway, long story short, did they ever pay you guys?
I don't think so. So there's I think this was EGLA. I think it was later that year that this conversation happened. But the weirdness of the time was that we won the first 2 events. And EGL paid the organization instead of paying us directly. So we were trying to get the money for the win from them.
Yeah.
Not even talk about contracts or anything.
Yeah.
We never got the salary or whatever.
Yeah.
But just getting our money for winning a tournament was hard. Like we're trying dude, there was nothing in the contract that said you were going to take any of this. So that when we heard they were getting it, we're like, oh, what? And so we basically fought our way to get that. We eventually got our winnings.
Yeah.
But the contract stuff, we were just like, whenever you came back and told us hey, look, we can do this. We never left you because of anything but the fact that we couldn't compete. So we're like, yeah, let's just do this. So.
I remember the video that you and I made together, making the announcement that you guys gonna go compete for Apex, and it's still on my YouTube channel somewhere. But I remember clearly we're like, yo, this has nothing to do with anything besides the fact that there are no tournaments going on in the United States, and I'm not fucking going all the way to Europe.
It's our avenue to compete, right?
Yeah. So I'm like, this won't be the last time. We're still we're still gonna be friends and blah. And sure enough, it wasn't the last time. I didn't know that it could, but I didn't know. Like now I know, but at the time I didn't know the big ass gamble or mistake that could have been.
Yeah.
Had I been so willing. The thing is this: I was on such a high back then. You know, my YouTube channel was popping. We were making so much money on YouTube videos and top 5 kill, and I mean, you name it. That I'm like. Well, competitive Call of Duty is like
not. They don't need us.
Yeah, I'm like we don't. You know what I mean? But right. it could have had I not fought later on. And I remember what at one point I decided to fight for shit that was happening, and I think it was when Nerve. Remember Nerve? Yeah, obviously when Nerve tried to take you guys away to their fucking thing. That's when I decided to actually fight, because at that point I was like. If nobody wants to be with here, that's cool. We're still gonna be doing our thing. Like we don't need anybody. But there was this instance where, I think Nerve wanted to go start, and I'm trying to remember the name, but it was Headquarters, something Headquarters. He wanted to take everybody. He wanted to take you. He wanted to take Big Timer. He wanted to take Merc and Predator and everybody. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, yo, you guys are going somewhere where there's no plan, there's no this, there's no that. Anyway, long story short, the mutiny that was about to happen against me and OpTic at the time was put to a goddamn end right away. And Nerve, who I have no problems with and I wish him nothing but the best, was exiled from the love that was Hector's love. You know what I mean?
Hector's love. You don't want to be exiled from Hector's love.
Yeah, my love reigns supreme, baby. I love everybody.
He's got big love.
So since then I was like, I'm like, okay, this is gonna go somewhere if we really put our fucking soul and heart behind this thing. And we sort of said, okay, where we didn't want to sort of impose esports onto our audience because our audience was only there for sniping, our audience was only there for YouTube entertainment. We're like, all right, we have an opportunity here to really be the biggest, right? We have a good opportunity to mean something. So immediately we're like, all right, we're gonna start collabing with these players and blah blah. That's where like sort of the Nadeshot story sort of begins with his YouTube channel, snipers going ham with him and Predator, and obviously the massive platform that was a 300,000 channel that was OpTic Nation. And that sort of took this sort of turn, right? Because I didn't see it coming, you didn't see it coming, and nobody really expected Nadeshot to sort of become the face of Call of Duty the way that he did. Right. Because through all the friendships that we had during our thing, Keemstar was sort of like, yo, I'm running this Call of Duty community thing. Do you want one of your pros to play? And then we're like, yeah, hell yeah. He's like, yeah, that way you have some representation. He's like, because they're like, do you want to play? And I'm like, I'm not playing. I'm not good enough. And I'm like, why don't we send this dude, right? So Nadeshot goes in. He fucking wins it and walks away with like $5,000 or some shit. And that sort of popularized him, not only with more OpTic fans that he already had with him, but Jericho's fans, Gold Gloves fans, Keemstar's fans, and sort of became this sort of guy. Through this sort of rise of Nadeshot, the interest from Red Bull came about.
So it was Red Bull. That's what you're telling me right now.
Yeah. So it was it's Red Bull.
That hurts. No, I'm kidding.
I look, if it failed and what this didn't exist.
Oh, dude.
You know what I mean?
No, like just to kind of give a grander scheme for those who didn't know, like I was on a team and then Nadeshot, the team dropped me for Nadeshot in early Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
And the reasoning that was given to me at the time was like the fact that I couldn't compete at a specific event online.
Well, that had something to do with it too.
But come on,
But it was with the sprinkle.
That reason to me was crap. Like that hurt me. But the fact, like I'm a smart human being. I understand like business and whatnot, and the leverage that Nadeshot could have pulled with the team to me made total sense.
Yeah.
But the lying is what killed me inside.
I can't believe they lied to you. They.
Well,
for me, it was a sort of responsibility that I had to the opportunity that the team was about to have, you know, and I always tell this to everybody. I'm like, had this failed, had OpTic failed, had we not become what we became, then none of the things that we had to do would be justified in the history books, in a sense. That's why I never really had like that sort of. That sort of mentality where I'm like, oh, I betrayed this, or I shouldn't have done this. But for the longest time, I did. Like I sort of picked friendships, and I mean, I think to this day, I still will pick friendships over business in some scenarios, right? Like I like the family that I'm with. I like the sort of story that we created together, and the fact that you and I get to sit here and talk as if nothing had ever happened, like sort of invigorates the fact that, you know, this friendships in any space, you know, sort of transcend business or space. So,
100%.
You know, again, that happens, right? So you had to be replaced by Nadeshot, and then sort of with this lingering opportunity of Red Bull sponsoring the whole team, right? And it wasn't just a sponsorship for Nadeshot.
I knew that.
And we're like, well, we have to do this because this is gonna be like what sets us apart, right? Imagine the first ever college, because for me it's always like, we need to be the first Call of Duty team to do this. We need to be the first Call of Duty team to be on a magazine. We need to be the first Call of Duty team to be whatever opportunity. So for me, it's always like, we need to be the first. We need to be the first. And I'm like, to be the first Call of Duty team to be sponsored by Red Bull, and at the time, Red Bull was fucking everything, right? 100%. That was before Big Daddy Pepsi and Game Fuel and Mountain Dew came along. You know what I mean? But through all this is happening, I'm like, we need to make this happen. And when it boiled down to the fact that it was only a Nadeshot sponsorship, and they were sort of, I don't know. Long story short, we did that. It helped a lot, obviously, because of the notoriety that came with. All the cool shit that we got to do through that sort of made everything worth it in the long run. Because then when you have that sort of interest from a sponsorship like that, then that means that the Monsters, the Rockstars, the now, you know, Game Fuels sort of have the same interest, and they want that talent. Anyway, we never got a full team sponsorship, you know, from Red Bull, which kind of sucked. I just found some jerseys in my garage because we moved 2 years ago, and we still have boxes that we haven't unpacked. Right. But I found a box of jerseys with all the mock-ups of what the new OpTic jerseys would have looked like with that logo, and they're fucking amazing. They're fire. Like there's this one where the sleeve has a bull like on it, and then it's like the half moon or the sun. Right. And brand guidelines over there say that you can't ever have the bulls disconnected. They always have to be touching through the sun. But the fact that the two sleeves are separated. Anyway, long story short, I found some really cool memorabilia that I get to own forever. They were, you know, not replica, but they were like mock-up jerseys that happen. Even
though the team didn't get the whole thing, like Nadeshot as a whole blew up. Like, especially when he joined back in the competitive scene, he brought appeal to the whole scene and just the team as well. And then the players with the house probably never would have happened with me on the team, obviously. So the fact that I blew into a different kind of segment of what it became, all the players grew from it anyways. Like, they didn't get the sponsorship directly.
Yeah, but everybody grew.
But yeah, everyone grew.
We all did. 100%. We all benefited.
100%.
Nadeshot grew because he had this sort of supporting cast in a sense for his story, the way that, you know, they were my supporting cast for my story, and you know, everybody grew from this thing. This thing couldn't have worked out any better because of the explosion that we saw from this thing. You ended up going back to Envy, right? I
was never with Envy before that, but
you weren't at the Modern Warfare 2. You guys competed side by side.
Nah, it was
no, extravagant. Sorry,
extravagant icons.
Extravagant icons. IXI thing
Yeah,
always brings me to side by
I
side.
heard, whenever someone told us that, we were like, wait, what? We didn't play back then, so we didn't know. So we
it's the Call of Duty 2 team.
we just kind of threw a bland eye and was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
it's fine.
We're not
It was
that.
a cool logo, IXI.
Yeah, it was a fucking dope-ass logo.
Yeah.
IXI, for those who don't know, used to be a big clan in Call of Duty 2. And then their logo, which was an extravagant with a snake.
Well, their clan tag was IXI, but our logo was like the X with the snake around it.
Yeah, so dope.
That was pretty sick.
Oh, it was.
Honestly,
so
I still have my headset at home.
Do you really?
I have like the plate with the extravagant logo on it. I'm still like rocking that left and right.
Oh, it's such a good memorabilia piece that
100%.
That's super, super dope. Okay, so you go to Envy.
I actually played one event with Clayster.
Okay,
Clayster, Parasite, and Jake Intake. So this is the first event on Black Ops 2. It was a UMG Chicago event that you guys ended up winning.
Yeah,
which is the only event you won for like a long time. But the fight, the push.
Yeah,
we'll call it the
push.
push.
The shove. The episode of that documentary is the shove.
Funny story. I was casting that actually. I was the one.
Were you?
I was the one commentating the match. I can't remember who I was with, but I was like talking. Oh, we pushed him. Yeah. Oh, this is terrible.
Going back and looking at it, it wasn't that bad.
No, it wasn't. But it just Nadeshot blew out of proportion. Like he pushed me assault. I was like, oh my god, come on, like dude. But that's back in the days where like shit talking was just like
rampant.
You were close. Like this stage now, like the CDL stage is awesome, but people are pretty far apart. So you still see people kind of have the fire and throw across stage, but like you don't feel it, right?
Nah.
Like, but when I'm right there, like me and you distance wise, and I'm playing, and I turn around, I say something, you're gonna hear it.
Yeah, and
there's no noise canceling anything.
Invasion of space.
100%,
right? Like
dude,
it's crazy. So it throughout the MLG years, there were those situations where you were playing across from each other on the side stages, right? If you remember where I think Panda choked a 50-50 scenario against Karma, and then that's when Formal gets up and then points at them saying, "You fucking choked," right? And it's like me telling you aggressively, and you're just devastated at the fact that you just lost a thing that could have gone either way, a 50-50 scenario, right? And then somebody gets it's like, you fucking choke, you choke, bro. I don't know how I would have been able to react. I'm not a pro player for a reason, and it's not my skill. It's but I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to just let some dude just fucking invade my space. I don't come from that era. You know what I mean? Where it's okay.
There was a sense of respect, like in competing. Like it was part of it, right? It's like I'm playing, and like this is like I can talk to them as much as they can talk to me, but like the invasion of like space and just as long as there's nothing physical, right? When you push or when you touch your opponent, that's when you kind of get like. But if it's just talk, people were okay to handle it. It was worse in Europe. Like in Europe, like the language people use, like I mean, they were talking about like physical like appearances and all that. Like it was bad. Like it wasn't just about the game. Like,
I have videos.
Yeah, no, it was pretty bad.
I have videos where I won't talk about it, but I have videos where side stages of people that I mean I haven't seen them in years, right? These videos, but I have them in my X files. But I have videos where just side stations are just going at each other. Like I'm talking about to the throat, right? Like taking
100%.
Like bad stuff.
It was mental warfare. It's part of it. Like it's like me getting into your head through talking and playing was an experience that like I'm trying to get you off your game.
It happened to me one time. To me,
you experienced it?
Yeah, it happened to me one time. I was at I think it was Columbus it was Columbus. It was an MLG Columbus event. We are in the middle of the floor just competing. And this dude, the spectator that was with I don't even remember the name of the team.
What game was this? Black Ops 1? Was it the one that we won, that we played all day?
I don't think so. No, it was a different. It was farther down.
Okay.
I was already me. You know what I mean? I had already become who I'd already paid my dues and done like good by the community, done good by my players, and whatever. But this dude's just fucking staring at me, talking shit to me. I've never, you know what I mean?
He included you.
Yeah. How dare he? Bastard. So I remember in high school, my friends and I went to Zion. I don't even remember the name of the high school, but Michael Jordan was there because his sons were there.
Okay.
Right? So we went there, and anytime that Michael Jordan's son did something, the crowd erupted. Right? But he did not. He just
regular, yeah.
Yeah, regular. It's competition. And from there, I decided that I was going to be that.
Right.
Like I'll get happy, but I'm not gonna, be like blah blah blah, right? Like if I am never in the stands. I'm always in the back, watching privately, and I'll do my right privately, right. Because I want to have the discipline that Jordan did, right? Like, of course, I'm gonna be biased, and I want my team to win. But it's competent. And long story short, I've never been that guy. I've never been the guy to point at Hastro and be like, "Ha ha, you fucking me," right? Never been that guy.
You can be fun in games. But
yeah. But I've never been that guy.
Gotcha.
And this dude, this fucking dude's my height, a little bit bigger than me, like tattoos and all that shit. I don't remember. I wish I remember the name of the team. But this dude's talking shit to me, and I'm staring at him, and I'm in my head, I'm like, I know you're not fucking and we're losing too, and I'm the worst fucking loser.
Yeah, you don't like to lose. I just that.
It's not, and I'm just fuming inside, and I'm like, how dare this motherfucker look? I'm like, this fucking nobody, right? Like what the fuck have you done? You know what I'm saying? At least I'm helping. You're just fucking spectating or whatever. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, all right, cool. And I look at him, I'm like, I don't remember what happened, but I said something that made him approach me later on in that night.
Oof.
Okay? In a hotel lobby, I see him and he's with a mob of people.
Oh,
right?
No.
And he looks at me and he says something. I'm like, what? So I stand up and I'm in my suit because at the time, at the after parties, you always dressed up a little bit, right? You know, you
gotta look good, especially as business people.
Yeah. Gonna go party with Sonny and Sepso, you know, whatever. So this dude comes and gets in my face, and I'm like, see, that's not what this isn't that.
Right.
You know, this
100%.
isn't somewhere I'm gonna be like, hey man, no. So the second that he takes one step too close to me, I fucking shove his ass. Whoosh, right? Big ass dude goes fucking flying backwards, and everybody's like, yo, and I'm like, what the fuck are you gonna do, right? Like, what the fuck, you pussy?
You're
like,
bad boy. You're a bad boy.
And then across the lobby, because we're in a hotel, across the lobby I see a cop, but the cop saw the whole thing. I'm sitting here talking with friends, and this dude comes menacing, coming around. I don't fucking remember. I was a little bit drinking. I was having fun.
Sure.
But this dude comes up to me, and the second, like, I could have any other time, I would have swung. It wouldn't have been it would have been a defense mechanism where I'm just used to, like, this is what you got to do when somebody invades your, in a menacing way, invades your privacy or your personal space. This dude steps too close, and I'm like, whoosh, and then I see, like, the amount of people is like, no, chill, and I'm like, why me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even fucking playing. You're not even fucking playing. Like, you approached the wrong dude. I think that he thought because of his size and whatever history he had in the past with people that he approached a certain way that people cowered away, but he stepped to the wrong dude in that day. Anyway,
Bad boy Hecz.
No, whoa, I didn't do anything. I was enjoying my team getting their asses kicked. You know what I'm saying? They were fucking losing. Anyway, that's
I wasn't on the team.
Huh?
No, that's not that.
No, you were not. We wouldn't have been fucking losing. Anyway, long story short, I experienced that. I experienced the invasion of personal space because of an esports thing. I don't mind it if I was competing and, you know, I was being. I think that I would have the discipline enough to be mad inside, but, you know, take it, because I sure as fuck will dish it out.
No,
you better believe that I'd be in people's faces. I am now. Yeah. I shoot bodies. I talk shit.
No, it's fun.
Yeah,
like, people, I don't understand the craze behind everyone getting mad when someone shoots your body, dude. It's just like, I can't talk to you because I'm playing online against you. It's my way of talking shit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. Everyone gets so angry and so like butthurt about it. It's
not
like,
me.
Oh, you shoot my body. Those guys are trash, man. It's like, dude, like, he's just getting in your head. You're getting mad about it. It's working.
I don't like when the team that we're playing in game battles is down 4-1 and shooting my body because they won one
it makes
round.
no sense. At that point, it makes no sense.
I'm just annoyed by it at that point.
Well, it's working on you then. If they're shooting
it works. Yeah, they get in my head. I suck for the rest of the map and I lose.
And then Fwiz tweets about how Hector went 0-6 the next map.
No, it's Hutch. Hutch is the guy that's the antagonist here. All right, that aside. From Envy, you sort of have your little stints up until Ghosts, and then you retire, right? One of the saddest days in Call of Duty, because the smartest man in the room is the smartest man in Call of Duty retires.
It wasn't retiring. I mean, I never officially retired. I never said, like, oh, I'm done playing. Granted, I kind of knew inside a little bit, but because I got dropped early in the year, like the Scump thing happened. I'm sure you remember that.
Yeah,
I'm sure you remember that. So kind of long story short, we played the Philly event, Ghosts. We had a rough kind of, was it losers semi or something like that? We ended up losing in a kind of tough way, and I didn't have the best of last maps. And then the team kind of talks after, and is like, they're talking to Scump. They're like, hey, look, like, we have a chance to pick up Scumpy. Would you be willing to coach instead of playing? And at that time, I'm like I'm under a visa with Envy, and it sucked, right? Because I'm still, like, I still want to play, but But I'm kind of looking at the situation like, yeah, I mean, it's fucking Scumpy. Like, if you're going to replace me with anyone in the community that I'm going to be okay with, this is the guy.
Yeah,
because the guy's going to help us win. Oh, he's going to help us win 100%.
Yeah.
Like, you lose some of the leadership in game, but like the skill amount is like, we're going to be dirty. And then I start talking with Hastro, and we talk with the team. It's like, I'll get percentage of our winnings to make sure that I'm able to sustain and do my thing. And then I'll be helped on the side, and I can do more content, right? I can help the team win and whatnot. So we spend 2 weeks of practicing. Everything goes great. I guess you probably spoke to Scump again, or his mom or something like that, and he decides to go back.
No, it was all Seth. He saw his viewership like go down and down.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, I gotta come back. I gotta come back.
Yeah, anyways, like everything's going well playing wise, but yeah, I guess that happens, and then he wants to go back, and then we're left with a hole, and then Proofy doesn't want to play with me for whatever reason at the time. And then Gunjar and Merc are left in a situation where like, okay, well, like we got to pick and choose, like who's going to be easier to get another teammate with. Long story short, we kind of go through it, and then Proof ends up leaving. Gunjar goes to TK, and then it's me and Merc looking for 2. We pick up Study and Nameless, like, I don't know, 3 weeks before the regional qualifier for champs. We qualify, and we go all the way to champs. We make the crazy kind of
insane
crazy run through the lose bracket,
yeah.
And then we get second at the event. We absolutely get trashed in the finals, and I have a really bad final. And again, the team wants me off like 2 weeks. I guess they're already talking to Parasite at the time, and then 2 weeks later, they're like, like we already had committed to the PAX event, so I played that event, and that's my last competitive event. And then right after that, they say, we want you off the team. Like, it's either, well, I guess Nameless and Study told Hastro, it's either raise off the team, we pick up Parasite, or we go to OpTic Nation. I guess you guys were trying to kill it, and someone else was trying to make a team.
That would never happen.
Anyways, yeah, it would have happened. But
that would have never happened. I care about a lot of things, and brand is the number one thing. So if they don't fit within my plan of what it looks like,
well, there you go. The ultimatum. The ultimatum was a bluff.
Fucking bluffers. I would never let Killa.
Hastro called the bluff.
Yeah, I would have never let that happen. I would have much rather drop Nation as a whole.
So yeah, so like basically the midst of it happens where the change happens. So I'm like, obviously I'm not happy with it at the time. I'm like, well, this is bullshit. Like, Scumpy replaced me, I completely understand. But Parasite replaced me, sorry, bro. Nah, this guy's going from team to team.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I felt personally that I would help the team more than he did.
Skill wise,
skill wise, I'm sure he's probably better than me. But just from a standpoint of like, we just got second at champs. Like that was a tournament of the year. Like every year, like kind of what you're describing earlier. Like mid year was kind of the big tournament, and the rest of the year was kind of like, like whatever. We're kind of prepping for the next event and the next game at that point. We still want to win, but like it's not as important because we made our big chunk of money at that point. So yeah, I didn't like it at all. I tried doing the coach thing, but Parasite was just like impossible to work with on that front. So I just wasn't about it. And then that's when Jay Purrier from Activision and /Treyarch
love Jay.
Oh, I love Jay. Jay's one of the, like when you said earlier for Vaughn for Black Ops, I'm sure Jay has probably equal or more effect on everything that happened because Jay loves esports and he's a great guy and he's always pushed for the community in general. But he comes out and then like he messaged me on through email. He's like, hey dude, like there's a studio that's kind of coming up and that's going to be making Call of Duty games. Would you be interested in coming out and helping them out? And I'm like, well, that's cool. Yeah. That was one of the avenues that I saw myself when I was done competing. Yeah. At the time, I didn't feel like I was done, but they came in with an attitude of like, hey, look, like just help us ship this game, which was AW at the time. And I spent 4 months there before they ship, and I kind of would deal with visa crap again, but we found a whatever way of doing it. And I moved to the Bay Area for 4 months. They hosted me in an apartment that they paid for, and they paid me whatever amount of money that I made to just help them prep a game. Like I was just, from a professional standpoint, I went through like all the weapons, all the maps. Like I was like giving them tips and tricks on like certain objectives, placements and whatnot. And just making sure, like trying to proof the game from a balancing standpoint as much as I could. And at the same time, like when Michael Condrey at the time was the studio head, like we had like he's the one that mostly wanted me on. Funny story. Him, Dr. Disrespect, and Greg Reisdorf were at Black Ops 2 champs. Yeah. And right before our winners finals match against Farico, they came to the stage and they started talking to us, and they like, hey, like I knew Guy obviously because I played GBs with Guy on Black Ops 1 or whatever. Yeah. So like, oh shit, that's Guy. Like that's awesome.
Guy's Dr. Disrespect.
Yeah, Guy's Dr. Disrespect in this case because people don't know that. But Guy Beam, baby, I love that guy.
Guy Beam.
But yeah, like so.
What a fucking name too, right?
The Beamer.
Yeah.
But we start talking about, they're like asking me like, oh, what makes good maps and what I'm telling, oh, 3 lanes is awesome, like symmetry and then gun balance, great. Like try and make it as many weapons as possible. Kind of give him the kind of lowdown, and it was almost like an interview for a future kind of 2 years later. In that stage, so like when I started talking, I was like, oh, we already talked to you about certain. Oh yeah, like I remember talking to you guys. So yeah, I was talking to like a couple of guys there, and they brought me on, and I spent the 4 months there, and the understanding when I first joined was like, hey, like this is your kind of like not tryout, but like if you like doing this and we feel like you're good at it, then we'll keep you. And I'm like, I didn't really look at it with too much of like a serious tone at the time, but yeah, it worked out. Like it was fun. I felt like it was an opportunity for me to kind of go into the back scenes and try and help Call of Duty from an esports and just Call of Duty game standpoint to grow from the inside. And because the playing stuff was just going to be complicated with visa situations, because I was living in the States and I'm Canadian. So for people who don't know, you need visas to live in the States and work, to be taxed in the States and all that crap. So, and then it's expensive, it takes time. And if I have to do that change every time I change a team, and especially the community at the time was very kind of loosely people kicking each other, friendship, whatever, bull crap. I didn't see myself playing with players that I felt were going to want to keep me. Yeah. Like Merc, Big T, J-Cap, Scumpy.
All day long.
Like those were the 4 guys that like I could compete with. Like you give me any, like at least 2 guys of those 4 guys on the team, I don't feel like my job's in risk. Yeah. But when it was just one of them or just other players, like, like they just didn't understand. They didn't treat it as a job, as a business, right? Yeah. And that's hurtful for me because I'm like, what, 3 or 4 years older than everyone else at the time. Yeah. So like, this is my life. Like if this doesn't work for me, I got no food on the table. Yeah. So yeah, like the change was great. I ended up being at Sledge for 5.5 years. I learned a lot.
I remember when you first got there, I was talking to Dr. D, because at the time Dr. Disrespect was map designing or some shit. Like, I remember being there, and I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was Miggs.
Yeah, Brian Miggs.
Yeah, Brian Miggs or who, but he's like, yeah, guy's mad because he's no longer the best Call of Duty player in the fucking company, right? You have Rambo in here like beating that ass, and I'm like, I remember bringing it up. He's like, nah, it's not true. But yeah. So what did you do exactly? Just sort of from a balanced pro player point of view, or did you see and oversee anything that had to do with just like pubs in general? Was it more, because it had to have been fun, right? Like I would love to work for, Call of Duty. I love the Call of Duty's my life. Call of Duty's life.
I'll give you the goods and the bad. So just to start, like my official title was competitive systems designer. So to start with, just so people understand what goes into making video games, our studio at Ship had probably 350 employees. There's about, let's say a quarter of that, or maybe a little less, are engineers, people that kind of write code and that you expect like what it is to make video games. It's a lot more complicated what people think. We have artists that kind of draw and get stuff in game, and then through programs create 3D models for weapons, for maps, environment, like everything you can think of that you see. There's producers, the people that kind of help the flow and make sure everything goes through right, and then there's designers. For the most part, those are the 4 kind of quadrants.
Jesus.
So the designers are the people that kind of tell, like, well, they'll work with the engineers and they'll work with the artists. That's what they want and what they're looking for. And then there's the creative vision, the creative director, like heads, like there's literally like it's a not a mess, but there's just so much going on at once that it makes making these games pretty difficult, right? It's not like just like for lack of I was one of the guys on the other side that was kind of saying, oh, it can't be that hard to do that. Yeah. Like Black Ops, or was it Modern Warfare 2 didn't have land? How hard is it to take land? Just copy paste what they did on Black Ops 1, put on this game. But like there's so many code things, and it without saying too much, I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't know how much I can say. But just from a point of view, like the outside perspective is very different than what you would think. Yeah. So the amount of differences and aspects on how studios do things, because we're all making Call of Duty game, but we're all different studios. It's just like things at OpTic Gaming go differently at teams that Team Envy us. Like we're still holding professional teams, but the way you handle things are different than what another team handles, even though you're doing the same thing, or you're trying to create a product similar in the end. But yeah, like the cool parts of my job was like my role in general was mostly balancing. But from a technical standpoint, I would put the weapons in the game. So I would hook up weapons. So I would get assets from the artists and assets from the sound team and assets from basically everything that goes into weapons, and I would put them in the game. So like I would hook up in certain code areas. It wasn't like me typing code, is more me kind of changing the code to work for like, oh, the PP90 needs to work this way. And then I would be the one who set like the fire rate and then the damages and try and make the balance and tuning of all the weapons happen. For World War II mostly is kind of the games that I did that from start to finish. Then I would also have kind of my hand pickings on like trying to help with map design. Like we play the game every day that we're making. Granted, it changes vastly from day to day depending on the time we're in, but like when we make a new map, we're iterating, we're changing things, and there's feedback. And then my feedback would have kind of a place in for trying to make a map competitively viable, whether it worked or not. Sometimes like it would basically trying to make it to where like spawns and everything would work properly. Trying to understand values on how spawns work. There's basically there's weights, like there's basically line of sight and weights on how it works. I would try and help tune that. And then just from a general standpoint, like just trying to help make the game as best as a casual standpoint, because there's a big understanding that like a good casual, like if you make a good game, it's going to be good competitively, period. Like a lot of the professional players out there will think that like, oh, just make a game for competitive. But like if you take for Black Ops 2, for example, it's still a game that was made for casual. All the pros loved it because the game was very, like it was balanced and it was constant. And then everything about the game just made sense from a casual standpoint. And then it transferred into competitive. Like the weapons were balanced. We used I want to say I used MP7. I was an outlier, but from an SMG standpoint, we had like 3 or 4, maybe 3 weapons that we used: a Scorpion, MSMC, and MP7. AR, we had like.
I think everybody used the MSMC though, like
for the most part. But you saw a variety, right?
Yeah.
There's still the outside mind that like, if I'm doing this specific thing on a specific map, I can use this, and this will actually work more so than this other weapon. And that's kind of the things that maybe have been lost for the last couple of years. From like the players just feel like there's one great thing and they all want to use it, and then GAs and all that. Right?
Yeah,
that's a different discussion. But yeah, no, it was interesting. I'd say the really parts that I didn't enjoy from it was the politics. Like just like anything in life, there's different hands and different baskets, and then there's certain things that you want to do that you can't do for whatever reason. Not always described in the best ways. It's like Activision is a publisher, and then there's 3 studios under them, so there's a lot of decisions kind of flying around from the top and bottom. At the end of the day, they're trying to make games that sell, right? So it's just the basis of it. There's priorities on certain things like esports. Like for me personally, I love esports. So part of my job was to create the broadcaster and try and make it rank play that was fun. And like we had rank play in World War II, and I helped design that very, very, not aggressively, but I was a big part of it, trying to make it the best way of casuals trying to play pros. Like that was my goal, was like, how can we make it to where pros like playing this so that casuals have a chance to play against pros, and then it snowballs into everyone kind of being interested by it. But yeah, it was like it's frustrating. It was frustrating for me, and I was the only part that I didn't like about the job, to not be able to have the priorities on certain things that I really wanted to see. And that's everyone in that studio had the same feeling, right? Like everyone in every game industry, like everyone who makes any games in any studio has that feeling. Because
you're artists at the end of the day, and then you turn into a sports. And I always talk about it, so I won't in this scenario. So when was your last time? Well, so you worked there up until you accepted the job at Empire?
Yeah, so my last day was February 20th. So this
year.
Of this year, yeah.
So up until now, you've still been working there.
Yeah.
And then on the side, you were winning bowling tournaments.
Yeah. So I mean, so the great thing
how did that happen?
So I was a bowler growing up.
Yeah.
Like bowling was my sport. I played hockey. I played baseball. I played kind of a lot of sports on the side, but bowling was like my family thing. My whole dad's family were bowlers. So I was like, there's videos of me like in diapers at 2 years old throwing a plastic ball on plastic pins in my apartment. But yeah, no, it was the thing for me. Like that was my fun aspect, and I kind of like what I said earlier. I wanted to be a professional bowler. But when the gaming started, like being like some people, the thing that people don't understand is being pro gamer or basically doing anything in the esports world requires an immense amount of investment and time. And you don't really have time to do anything else, because the moment you stop doing something, someone else is doing it more than you, and that person is getting ahead. It's content, playing, anything. This is a rule of thumb in anything. So when I first started doing it like full time playing, I just couldn't really do anything else. And granted, I was sick, and when I got better, I just like, okay, well, I don't have time to do this anymore. So the dream went more like I got to do something professionally, which was awesome, but I didn't get to bowl. So when I first moved to the Bay Area and I got stability and whatnot in the job, I was like, look, I got like the job is very much like a 8 to 5 job, right?
And it's not like you could bowl and play, because like don't your fingers get swollen?
Yeah, it was a little. Yeah, I actually have a neuroma in my thumb right now from bowling.
A what?
A neuroma, which is like a bruised nerve.
Does it smell bad?
No, it's a bruised nerve. It's just it's something, anyways. But
I was joking.
no, like,
I know what a neuroma is. I'm a neuroscientist.
But yeah, like you said, the mix between the two just doesn't work very well. But yeah, like working at Sledgehammer, it's an 8 to 5 job. So like I go to work, I think about work, I'm done with work, I don't think about work. Like I'll think about it a little bit, I'll watch whatever content on the side, but like
you just walk away from
it. Yeah, I walk away from it. I go to my girlfriend at the time, and now fiance, and my dog, and I have time. I have time to have fun. I got my weekends to myself. I got Saturday and Sunday like a normal human being. I get to go do what I want. And then I started picking up bowling again. I played at like a Tuesday night league with some friends that I met out there, and it was fun. And then I heard there was like PBA regionals, which is like I would say like the semi-pro, like imagine the contenders leagues for the CDL.
Yeah.
So it's like people aspiring to be professionals.
Yeah.
Like it's like they have tournaments, basically almost bi-weekly tournaments, regional stuff, which still like there's a lot of actual national professionals that played them.
Yeah.
It's just like if there's no actual big tournaments going on, they play those. So there's still money involved, and I started playing those, and I got picked up by a company, Storm, which is a professional, like one of the bigger, if not in my opinion, the biggest bowling company.
Yeah.
Shout out to them, Storm Nation,
Yeah,
baby.
it's Storm Nation, baby.
Hashtag Storm Nation.
Yeah.
So yeah,
get your bowling balls and gloves and
no gloves, just bowling balls.
chalks.
But yeah.
I've seen people wear not on their throwing hand, but I've seen people wear like glove on the left hand.
That's a misconception.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
those
made
people,
that shit up. I put that glove in there.
I can think of like maybe one or two, but those people.
That's what I saw.
Those people don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because this hand doesn't mean much unless you're doing two-handed. There's a two-handed style now that people like Belmo. I don't know if you know those. Anyways, just kind of long
I'm
story.
a good bowler, but obviously.
Oh, are you? Okay, we'll have to find that out. We'll have to figure that out.
I shoot. I don't know how to do the curve thing.
You're
but
not a good bowler.
Okay, all right, fine. In my circle of friends,
Yeah, I got you.
who are also not good bowlers, I'm pretty good.
But yeah, I ended up starting doing the semi-professional scene. I started late, and I got my PBA card, which is like makes you a professional. Which is not as cool as it sounds, but it's like still, it's like it allows me to play tournaments on a full-time basis, or at least for the weekends. So I went to work on weekdays and I bowled on weekends. My first year competing, I won the PBA Player of the Year and regional, or PBA and Rookie Player of the Year in the West Region. My first year competing, full-time, which is pretty dope.
That's so dope. I did see that you were ranked number 1 at one point or something.
Yeah. So I won like I was on their website and I had videos and I was sponsored by Storm. It was super cool, dude. It was like it was like kind of like almost like a dream come true, because that's what I want to do when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I got around playing a bunch of these like top-notch bowlers in the area, and I was the best in my region, which was awesome. So
your dad must have been super hyped
oh
about
hell
it.
yeah, he was. I mean, he was just sad he couldn't be there to watch all the time, because obviously he's back in Canada. So. But no, it was awesome. And then I was actually really close to making a national television final.
Oh shit!
And it was a 2000, I think it's 17. There was that was my first actual real professional event. It was called the World Series of Bowling, where they have 4 different events. It's basically for people who don't know, these like people think bowling are not athletes. Like, how many games of bowling do you bowl normally? Like 2 or 3?
So, yeah, 1.
Do you feel like your hand hurts?
If
or
I
like
finish,
do you feel like your body hurts a little bit in the next?
No, just my middle finger.
Right, your finger hurts.
It gets really swollen.
Okay, so
it gets thick.
Okay.
All right.
So imagine this. I went to a bowling tournament, real time. The first day, you bowl 10 games. The second day, you bowl 10 games. The third day is a practice day where you're bowling a lot. And there's a practice day before that as well.
Yeah.
The fifth, or the third, so fourth day, you bowl 10 games.
Yeah.
The fifth day, you bowl 10 games.
Every day.
You bowl 40 games in 5 days. My body was in shambles.
Yeah.
Like, I was not ready for that kind of beating.
Yeah.
But the last day, so all 4 days are individual tournaments, and they're accumulated into one kind of major, like the majors in bowling, which is the World Series of Bowling at that point. But each day is like an individual kind of animal pattern tournament. Man. So the last day, I made the cut. So there's 190 bowlers, the best bowlers in the world.
Yeah.
I made the top 16 made the cut. So the last day, I qualified 12th.
Yeah.
So I made the match play round. So I had to. This is in Reno at the time, so it was 4 hours to drive, so it was not too bad.
Yeah.
So I had to drive back, work for 3 days, and then I drove back to bowl.
Why don't you just take some time off? Some FMLA.
Bro, it's corporate, bro. I don't have that much time off. Like, I gotta make that money. I gotta work.
Yeah.
So I go back on the Thursday. Like, this was a Sunday at the time, so I go back on the Thursday to bowl the match play round. So this is me against like another, like, so me and you play a best of 5.
Yeah.
And whoever wins that goes on to the next round. So I played this guy called Zeke Bade, and then played really well, and we had some close games, but I beat him 3-1.
I heard of Zeke Bade.
Yeah.
No,
yeah. So then it's the match to make the TV show. It's a best of 3, and I played Jason Belmonte, who's the best bowler in the world at the time.
I heard Jason Belmonte.
He's a 2-hander. He's a beast. And he took me out, but it was cool. Like to experience that kind of high level of like play was just like amazing. Like it was like again, like I was a kid just watching these guys bowl, and I was doing my thing.
Yeah, the difference is that you played in front of thousands,
oh,
right? And so you had that like, oh, this ain't nothing.
Yeah,
I've been doing this.
My competitive juices were good, dude. Like,
and for the record, yes, bowlers are athletes. It's the golfers that I consider non-athletes. I'm just kidding, because you're a golfer too, right?
Get me going. Get me going.
You got all ready to go. So I saw, when I saw that you were ranked number 1 in that region, I was like, yo, what the fuck? I tweeted it. I'm like, yo, this my man's is out here like kicking ass over here. I didn't know that you were still. I thought you were doing that just exclusively. I didn't know that you were still working a sledgehammer.
Oh no, working a sledge was my main thing. That was my side thing.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I made like 30 grand bowling that year. So it was like cool, kind of like, I mean, it's like the regional.
On top of that, like 350 that you were getting paid for
not
fucking
even close.
sledgehammer.
Chill, dude. It's not even close.
Plus residuals on every game shipped. Oh my god, and skins, shit.
And even if I did, dude, California just eats up all the money, dude. It's crazy. Like the taxes out there, like from like a money standpoint, like literally half of your money goes to taxes.
Yeah.
So it's like, even if you make a ton, like the cost of life is immense, and then you're spending most of your money on a rent or whatever you're trying to pay for.
So when did Hastro reach out to you? Because this is the reason I'm asking. Because I'm a big storyline guy. I'm a big do everything for content kind of guy. Okay. And in my head, I had like I'm like, man, Rambo comes back. That's like the best fucking like reunion ever. You know what I mean? Like here he comes, he coaches, win a championship, fucking best. But you ended up coming back and winning a championship, but with him. How did that happen? When was it?
So the CDL, there's talking behind the scenes. The CDL was going to be a thing. I'm sure a lot of the potential owners were spoken to early. That's about when Hastro reached out to me and was like, "Hey, look, this is going to be something. Would you be interested in coming out?"
Damn.
And it was, I'd say, maybe a little past midway through last year. So at the time, it was just a kind of opening conversation. I started thinking about it, and I was like I still like doing what I did at Sledgehammer, and I still like. From a standpoint, like money wasn't a big issue. Like it was just like I'm able to live. California is awesome. I had a fiance out there. Like I have friends. Like it didn't hit me as like this is an opportunity for something bigger. I'd say 2 or 3 months went by, or about 2 or 3 months before the whole league starts, and then he starts kind of like, hey, look, this is crunch time. Like, are you interested in doing something? So we started talking about potential roles, and then we have like a 4 or 5 month, like literally crazy, like 3 or 4 or 5 month back and forth with lawyers as to what I can and can't do, because I'm Canadian, so I get another visa. Which sucks because I was probably 8 months to 12 months away from getting a green card where I was, which would have basically, for those who don't know, green cards allow you to basically just work wherever you want. Like you're basically a citizen without being a citizen. I can't vote, or I can't jury duty or whatever. Like the basic kind of citizen stuff. But everything else I have access to. But I mean, I'm gonna get married, so eventually I'm sure that'll go away. But yeah, we had to handle the visa stuff, so like that was a painful process again, like it is every time. It took a few months, and that's why I came out so late. Like we were trying to get me on as soon as the whole thing was announced. So it's like announcing with the players, and like kind of you were saying, like it's a big thing. Like I get back in the scene. And,
it's fucking amazing.
Like blow up like from a content standpoint, and again like get involved with the players, even from like the head coach standpoint. Like the most important part for a head coach is probably like the first 3 or 4 weeks of a game. Because that's when like you want all the input and understanding of knowledge that's part of the game to really come and be divulged to the players. So I came in at a point where like most of the basic stuff was figured out. And like even my involvement before we won the event was like, I don't know, a week and a half, and I was moving in the middle of that, trying to move my stuff around. So I didn't really get to do that much, but the stuff that I did, it was like more open conversation for stuff that I saw that they weren't doing. It was never a point where like, oh, Clay, you should be doing this or that. It was like, hey, look, like we did this here. Can we do something else? And that's kind of my way of handling things so far as a coach. It might change in the future. It might not. I learned a lot from being at Sledgehammer, just from a management standpoint, like being in a real, I'm going to say real work environment, because it works a lot different in real,
of course,
in those kind of corporate jobs. But yeah, it kind of changes the person in that time. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit I was not fun to play with, and I'm sure the players would tell you that, like Scumpy and those guys. Like I did what I needed to do to get my 2 cents across, and understood on the spot. I was very much almost like a general. Like I would tell you how it is. I would never beat around the bush. Like if I wanted something changed, I would tell you, and then like it or not, this is what's being said, and I'm expecting you to fully kind of adapt to that. So like my teams, when I competed, and the teams that I was most successful with were people that were able to take that kind of like back and forth. Like Merck and Scump and Big T and Jacob. Like those guys were like very much like open to what I had to say. Sure, would not like it very much, but would never like talk back in the way that's like like don't tell me to do
like
this.
Don't call me Damon.
Oh man, Karma's not the best experience I've seen with, but I love the guy. But as teammates, we didn't match.
One of my favorite people in the world, for sure.
But yeah, no, it was crazy. Like just the mindset and change, and I'm like kind of realizing that now. Like there's a little voice inside me that wants to be like that guy, but at the same time, I understand that's not the most productive way, and I'm not a player anymore, so I don't have like the weight as much as I used to. And then, especially coming at a later stage, like Clay and Krim have done a lot of work with the young kids,
of course,
and they've done most of it, if anything, like with just understanding and trying to help them learn what they need to learn. Like especially Illy and Shotzi, who Illy played competitive COD for a while, S&D stuff, and then Shotzi came from Halo. But just from a standpoint, like there's so many small things at a pro level that you need to be able to do nonstop quickly, that need to be instinctive, that they don't really understand even just yet. There's certain things that they don't get yet, and they're still in a growing process. But Krim and Clay like accentuated that process. Like, I mean, coming in, I was expecting those kids to be like, I don't know, like half of what they are now. And I'd say they're already like their experience level is already like one of a player that like a person like me and you would have got in. It would have taken us a year to kind of get to that point. And everything needs to be attributed to Clay and Crim on that for sure, because these guys are like nonstop, like they're productive in the way they speak, not necessarily the best. I would say like there's some elements of what I used to be are kind of in them. But the young kids are like have a really good head on their shoulders, and they're able to understand that they're just trying to help. They're never really like being mad at them for it or not shutting down. Like they just listen, and they you can tell it irritates them a little bit, but they know they're in a position to learn. And that's one of the reasons why we won the last event, in my opinion, because like the progress we're making is absolutely insane.
Yeah, I mean the amount of people that gave Shotzi like that hard of a time, I was just like, dude, because I'm like, I know that he's gonna grow into a player. Like you just know. I mean you don't just if you're good at one game, more than likely, if your hand and eye coordination are good enough to be a certain way, they're gonna be good in a certain way in every single game, right? The understanding of a gamer, in a sense, a pro gamer, that is. But anyway, so now that you have moved from the Bay Area down to Dallas, have there been any major like differences that you've seen where you're just like way happier?
I mean, right now it's weird because there's just nobody in the streets. Like I'm living like a couple of blocks away from the American Airlines Center, which is a hot spot, and it's just dead. Just like that's what the world we're living right now, which is just a weird state. And it was a really weird time to move, because even like I'll give you a quick story. I went to Costco the day after I moved to get essentials like plates and just stuff for my apartment, because I was moving to my apartment later that day. And I showed up 15 minutes before they opened. There was 150 people in line to get through the front door.
I would have walked away.
Because it was the day after they called, but I don't have a choice.
I would have left.
I didn't have a choice.
I don't care. I
didn't have a choice.
Amazon Prime. I would have left.
I mean, I needed stuff right away, bro. Like, so I get in a store, people are like fighting for toilet paper. For whatever reason, toilet paper apparently is like the most essential thing.
What was it?
I don't get it.
What was it? Because before it was canned food and water.
Yeah.
I feel like it was this coronavirus pandemic.
Was it SARS a few years ago?
Sure, whatever.
Like
but it was never toilet paper, ever. What was it about toilet paper? There has to have been some sort of viral video that said, you know what, with doomsday preppers, you know what people don't ever fucking think about? Toilet paper. You know, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, damn, toilet paper, damn. And then all of a sudden when this happens, like, toilet paper, fucking zombies, fucking grab all the toilet paper.
It's crazy because even I levitate towards toilet paper because everyone else is going for it. So it's like a mob mentality where you're like, toilet paper, I need that. I'm gonna poop a lot during these times.
Yeah, it's like, gosh. And then the amount of people that are just grabbing like all of it is.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, because there's no shortage of food. No. There's no shortage of toilet paper. It's just that the supply is backed up a little bit because nobody, there's no shortage of it. Everybody can get the same amount that everybody got. Everybody can get, right? It's just a matter of being patient in that time.
100%.
It's like huge baby wipes, man.
Yeah, well, that's what I got at the start. I was like, well, okay, no one's going to have to baby wipes. I don't have a choice.
Yeah, it's like it's the way to be anyway. Okay. I was just mind boggled by the fact that everybody went so crazy for the toilet paper.
Yeah, I'm kind of lucky to move at a time where the weather's more or less similar to what it is in the Bay Area.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not.
No, I mean right now it is.
Oh, bro.
Like I'm just saying the first few days.
It's gonna get bad.
Yeah.
But you'll.
I didn't say it was. I'm just saying at this very moment in time, the adjustment. It's not like I moved in the middle of June, where it's like 105 degrees outside.
It's
I'm
fucking
dying.
incredible.
Oh, I'm sure.
Even with those heat indexes, I still would never move anywhere else. I love it. You know, when I'm out fishing, and I don't go fishing between July and August, I just don't do that. But when I'm out there, like I don't think since I moved here I've ever complained about the heat. Like I've made my little comments, but I've never been like in Chicago and I was just like, I fucking hate living here. Right. I hate the cold. And I said, I'm like, if I'm ever in a warm place, I'm never gonna complain about the heat. And still to this day, 2 years in, this being our third, I'm cool, man. I love it. It's my thing.
I mean, I'm more of a cold guy, so I might complain about the heat a little more than someone else would.
Yeah.
But Melanie's the opposite. My fiance, she's more about the heat, so I think it'll be good for her.
Yeah, bro, it gets hot.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, my first time here was in 2006. I was here for a bowling tournament.
Yeah.
As a junior.
An outdoor bowling tournament? Imagine.
No. But it was literally middle of, like, I think it was the middle of July, where it was just like, it was like 110, 115 degrees outside, and it was like just walking to get food across the street, I was like soaking. And it was like, oh, it's
amazing. I can't wait.
I'm not excited about
I hate how cold it is. Bro, it's March and it's still cold, which is why the virus has still been around for this long, you know? But if this would have been last year, that shit would have gone down so quickly. It would have been, it would have been a resurgence, as it does often. You know, so I'm a, what do you call those? A virologist.
Okay.
Just made that.
Pandemist.
A pandemicist. But they say that usually a virus will have its stint in the winter and then die out because it's too hot in the summer. But then the following winter, it's worse than it was the first time. So we're expecting this year to be crazy. Yeah. I might just move my family down to somewhere tropical for the winter next year.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's not
do the Ronaldo. I'm not gonna buy an island, obviously.
Yeah.
This motherfucker's got
I mean, if
paid.
you have the funds for it, like, might as well, right? Like,
I'm not a Ronaldo to buy a fucking
No,
island.
I'm not
That dude
saying
bought
that.
an island.
yeah, no, that's crazy. I mean, he's obviously rich, so
Just a mega.
nothing's stopping
He's
him,
a
right?
mega rich dude. I would have done that too. If I had that sort of paper, I'm gone. Just from a flex
Just
standpoint.
give,
Like,
me,
look what
give
I
me
can
satellite internet, and I'm good.
do. That's the problem. That's the problem with everything. I always tell Jude that I am going to retire in a place like this. I wanna walk out of
That's pretty.
out of my backyard and see snowy mountains, the changing of the seasons,
colors.
a lake, and but if there's no good internet, I can't do it because I still intend on playing Call of Duty up until
Well, you want to have fun with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's still you still enjoy doing it.
Still love that. I love. The only thing that I don't do nowadays that I love to do, but I don't. So I love playing Call of Duty. I still do that. I love fishing. I still do that. The one thing I love drawing and painting. I still do that. The one thing that I love that's dear to my, that I consider myself, the way that I consider myself an artist, a gamer, and a fisherman, I consider myself a basketball player, and that's the only one thing that I don't do.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's the only
Why
one
not?
thing. I don't know. I don't
What's
have
stopping
anybody at home. I had all my friends that I grew up with playing basketball with. Here, who?
Just gotta be some, dude.
No,
There's pickup
no.
leagues, people that play. I'm sure, like, you just gotta find them.
Well, the Oak Boys back in LA and Nadeshot and 100 Thieves, they all like participate in
Yeah,
a
I saw
league.
that, yeah.
Matt, do you play basketball? No, he doesn't. Who the fuck? I work with him. He would be like one of the prime, candidate to be on my team because I work with him. It's gotten so far to the point to where I texted Nick Kirshner, Maniac, and I said, "Yo," because he plays basketball. Mike plays basketball, and Hitch is a really good athlete. So that's 4 already. All we need is a 5th. Or in trade-ins, because there's no way I'd run up and down the court. Anyway, I wanted to put out a message on Twitter that says if you're in esports and are you play ball, hit me up because
sure
I'm gonna join a league, a D league,
There you go.
so I can
Yeah, just for
get
fun.
back into shape.
Hell
My
yeah.
brother will probably play, but he sucks. But we'll need a big center man. Anyway, long story short, anything you want to talk about, man? Anything that you want to give a shout out to? Obviously, your sponsors, Protein Snacks, Jack Links,
Corsair headsets.
Yeah.
Predator.
You could do that.
Yeah.
I
mean,
do
yeah,
that.
and
I won't
Dallas
do that. But you can
Dallas
do
Empire, obviously. I mean, a big props. It's been a fun transition.
Yeah.
Like, as a whole, like just in the grand scheme, like the CDL league and how it's come across compared from when I used to compete. That, like, everyone asked me, like, do you miss playing? Like, I don't miss playing. I miss competing, but I'm just jealous of everything
The
that people have
opportunity.
access to now.
Yeah. Well, imagine how these people that are growing up in this thing are going to feel in 10 years when it's like the NBA
Right.
and all the Scumpies and Claysters and Crim Sixes, Karmas, and you name it. All the players that put work into this thing will benefit in some way, but are not going to benefit as much as a 3-year-old that's running around right now.
Well, you're
with a
describing
snap
me
nose.
now, right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
That's what I mean.
Like, this is us. Like,
Yeah.
this is what we built most of what's there right now.
Yeah.
Like, all this wouldn't happen without people like us and pioneers in the community that
Correct.
kind of pushed it to the next level. So
Correct.
it's just,
And look, granted, we benefited from it,
Yeah.
like, obviously, right? But it's those who have come in the next 10 years are going to be the ones that truly benefit from like this opportunity because like all the building work is happening right now.
I just, the only thing I would say, like, from a grander scheme that's not necessarily the most positive way, is that people need to start treating this as a job.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's a lot of players that are stuck in their old ways of understanding, like, it's crazy, like, the amount of money that's flying around right now. And from a standpoint of when we played and when you were part of, like, you saw it firsthand, like, we were playing for the pure competitive aspect of having fun doing it. And the money was like, as long as we got enough money to go by and support ourselves with, we're good. And now it's to a point where like people are doing, it feels like are doing less than when we did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't have that side aspect of like having to stream and content, because like content was necessary for us to sustain, right?
Yeah.
Like, if we don't make YouTube videos or we don't stream Twitch,
You don't have that extra.
I don't have that money to live, right? Like, because competing, you couldn't rely on that. Like, that wasn't guaranteed money. Now they have all these contracts and guaranteed things, and it seems like they're willing to do less. Like that to me is a kind of like, and that's one of the things I think in the future that'll probably go down with time.
Yeah.
like whenever the younger generation hopefully doesn't really kind of put on in those ways and see what it is for exactly what it is, and they get an understanding and they put the time in to really do everything and get the sponsors going. Because like it almost seems like they don't understand where the money's coming from anymore, and it's just like grow some trees.
I don't even know where to like identify where that sort of mentality comes from, but it's everybody was treated like a star early on, that they now feel like they're a star and they don't need to do anything besides show up to do certain things and do that. And you know, a lot of that has to do with the way that I raised my players too, right? Like I always treated Nadeshot and Scump and everybody else like the superstars that they are, and then that sort of like made them, you know, now they're better, but there was that period in time in the years that we were doing this where they were like, I don't do that stuff. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, I went like the first LA event, and I'm not just talking about my team. I'm talking about just in general, like the players. Like it's just the mindset, and like they ask for like someone want an interview, and they're like, oh, okay, like bro, like where do you think your
money comes from, right?
Like your contract says you need to do those things for a reason, because you're getting
and it helps you. You're in front of
exactly.
people. Helps your brand.
Like and
they don't get it, man.
Like what do you plan on doing when you're done playing? Like you need to build your brand. Like if you plan on staying in this world.
The people that worry me are the ones that have a small brand and they still act a certain way. You know what I mean? Like in no world would I ever not try to work on my brand or instill in my players that they got to work on their brand. They got to be in front of the camera as much as they humanly possibly. It's not. I don't know.
We were the best at that when I could. Like we were always in front of cameras. Like,
always.
We loved it. Like we thrived on it.
Yeah, we had to. It's anyway. I guess we're building to build, and there's a saying out there, and I'm gonna butcher it, but the best selfless acts come from old people who plant trees who they'll never get to enjoy the shadow of. See you next time, Maddie. That was fire.